Teresa Parker worked in the 911 dispatch building on North Cherokee Street. She had been there for 14 years. Officers trusted her voice when their radios cracked during dangerous calls. Younger dispatchers said she kept 2 notebooks in front of her, one for calls and one for people. She checked on officers during storms. She reminded rookies to breathe between codes. Her coworkers called her Mama T. For friends and family, Teresa was consistent. She returned calls, showed up early, and never left anyone wondering. She spoke to her mother every morning at 7. She texted her sister in the afternoon. When she was off work, she drank sweet tea on the porch and called it her peace hour. In late 2006, her peace started to change. Her marriage to Sergeant Sam Parker was ending. Sam had served in the Lafayette Police Department for more than 2 decades. He had commendations in his closet and framed photos from Marine Corps service on the living room wall. People said he carried himself like a recruiting poster. When Teresa married him, her sister joked she was marrying a whole police department. Their divorce was supposed to be simple. No children, no long arguments. Teresa had already signed for a small apartment near the courthouse. Boxes of dishes, towels, and sentimental items were stacked in both places. The plan was that she would move out quietly after 13 years of marriage and start a new chapter. On Wednesday, March 21, 2007, Teresa left work early. Coworkers assumed she was packing. Christina, her sister, tried calling that night. No answer. Rhonda, her close friend, tried at 10 and then again before bed. Still no answer. In the morning, there was nothing from Teresa. Not one message, not one return call. At first, the family rationalized. Moving was chaotic. Teresa might be clearing out drawers or try to keep peace with Sam. By Friday, patience turned into adrenaline. Her mother called dispatch and reported her daughter missing. The room that Teresa had worked in for 14 years fell silent. Dispatchers who spent careers solving other people's emergencies were suddenly staring at one of their own. By Saturday morning, news traveled fast through the county. Officers drove to Teresa's new apartment. Her SUV was not there. Inside the unit, her washer and dryer were still in cardboard, waiting for installation. A note from the delivery crew said she had missed her Thursday appointment. Teresa did not miss appointments. Investigators listed timestamps. Last confirmed sighting, Wednesday night, outside the apartment around 10:45 p.m. on her phone. Last voice call, to Rhonda around 11:30 p.m. Last phone event, a hang-up call around 5 a.m. Thursday morning. After that, silence. Officers checked her bank account. No withdrawals, no credit card usage, no phone calls. For someone who called her family every day, a 4-day silence was a blaring siren. Authorities expanded to the Parker house. Sam Parker opened the door in a calm tone. He said Teresa left Wednesday night to stay at the apartment. He said she often took short trips when stressed. He suspected she was taking another one. When asked for access to the house, he agreed. Investigators saw groceries, clean floors, folded laundry. They did not see signs of forced entry, scattered items, or blood. Teresa's makeup case sat on the bathroom counter. Her contact lenses were beside the sink. Her toothbrush was there too. Items people take when starting a new life were not taken. Volunteers organized a search party that weekend. They lined up across wooded paths with sticks, fluorescent vests, and dogs. Search coordinators passed out printed flyers with Teresa's smile. Strangers walked for miles through Georgia woods looking for clothing, footprints, jewelry, tire imprints, or torn materials. They found nothing. On Monday morning, her chair at dispatch remained empty. A supervisor wrote Teresa's ID number on the whiteboard and circled it, waiting for updates. Officers stopped by the building between calls. Some paced the lobby. Others prayed with her family. False leads arrived by phone. One caller reported seeing her in Tennessee. Another swore they spotted her in Alabama. A third insisted she boarded a bus. Agents checked them all. None matched. Investigators returned to the apartment and the house to rebuild the timeline. The most concerning detail was the Wednesday night transition. Teresa left the apartment after her call with Rhonda. She drove back to the house to collect her belongings. After that moment, her trail went dark. Investigators questioned whether she left voluntarily, was picked up, was forced, or never left the home at all. Without evidence, each possibility had equal weight. By the end of the first week, the working theory that Teresa ran away collapsed. Her patterns did not support it. Her accounts did not support it. Her family relationships did not support it. Her work ethic did not support it. If she wanted distance, she would have told someone. If she needed escape, she would have taken essentials. Someone was controlling the silence, and it was not Teresa. When the first week closed, the investigation shifted from hoping Teresa would walk through the door to proving something prevented her from doing so. The Walker County Sheriff requested FBI support. The Bureau sent agents from Atlanta who specialized in missing persons linked to law enforcement personnel. When a police officer or dispatcher vanished, the Bureau treated the case like a time bomb, because evidence and reputations could evaporate fast. The first question for outside agents was simple: who had motive? Their early board listed 3 categories. Category 1, personal conflict. Category 2, professional conflict. Category 3, stranger crime. Stranger crimes were unlikely. No reports of forced entry, no pattern of attacks, no increase in violent cases in the region. Professional conflict produced nothing credible. No threats, no stalkers, no hostile contacts. Personal conflict remained. Investigators interviewed Sam again. He repeated that Teresa wanted space. He described her as stressed, emotional, and unpredictable during the divorce. He said she disappeared in the past when overwhelmed. He insisted Teresa met someone in Tennessee. He offered to share her phone bill. He seemed helpful on the surface, but trained agents watched how he delivered details. When asked specific questions about time, his answers shifted. When asked about their final night together, he moved fast through his version and slowed down when blaming external influences. Agents reviewed the phone bill he provided. The bill showed over 20 calls between Teresa and a police officer who worked the night shift. That raised suspicions. Investigators pulled that officer's schedule. He was on duty during the night of Teresa's disappearance. Surveillance at the station confirmed it. He admitted Teresa confided in him about her divorce. He said she invited him to Tennessee, but he declined. He acknowledged feelings, but provided solid proof he did not leave his shift. Agents removed him from the list of active suspects. Investigators reviewed Teresa's trip to Tennessee. Receipts suggested 2 guests, but the hotel clerk misheard her last name when she booked over the phone. Cleaning staff confirmed no second guest. Agents eliminated the scenario of an unidentified romantic partner. Agents took a harder look at Sam's timeline. Sam claimed he left his house before midnight and drove to his girlfriend's home across town. His girlfriend confirmed he spent the night there, but reported his arrival at nearly 2 in the morning. That left about 90 minutes unaccounted for. To trained investigators, 90 minutes during a disappearance was a lifetime. Then there was the early morning call. At 5 a.m., Teresa's phone made a brief hang-up call to Rhonda. Rhonda found it alarming and called officers to check on Teresa. 2 officers drove to the house around 7. They saw Sam's truck in the driveway. They did not see Teresa's SUV in the garage. This created a conflict between what Sam said and what officers observed. Sam said her SUV was present at 6:30. Officers saw it was not present at 7. If Sam was right, the vehicle disappeared in 30 minutes. If officers were right, Sam lied about seeing the SUV. Agents leaned toward the officers. Officers had no motive to lie. Sam had several. They went back to the house for a more technical search. This time, they documented bruising on Sam's forearms. Sam said he got them during work or moving boxes. Agents took photos. They impounded Teresa's SUV. It was cleaner than a showroom vehicle. The carpet pattern looked vacuumed in tight lines. A lab tech found 2 small drops of blood on the rear latch. Tests matched Teresa. The second drop contained Teresa and Sam. Investigators now had physical evidence placing both of them at the back of the vehicle during the disappearance. Agents next reviewed Sam's prior marriage. They learned his ex-wife ended the marriage because of verbal attacks, jealousy, and erratic behavior. She described a confrontation in which Sam accused her of infidelity and held his service pistol near her head. She said she froze because she believed calling police against a uniformed officer would go nowhere. Investigators viewed this disclosure as a window into Sam's capacity for control. She also described choking. Agents noticed the similarity between her account and the bruises on Sam's arms during Teresa's case. When a person applies a choke hold from behind, defensive victims tend to claw the inner forearm. Investigators searched Sam's locker at the police department. Inside, they found blasting material used in training and a graphic poster degrading women. The police chief terminated Sam for keeping explosive material in his locker. The firing stripped him of his badge, paycheck, and authority. Within days, Sam sat on his porch in uniform with a shotgun under his chin. Officers negotiated until he lowered the weapon. He spent the night in a hospital for evaluation. Agents viewed the incident differently. They had seen similar cases. Some suspects used self-harm threats to regain control of the narrative. They wanted sympathy and wanted people to see them as victims. It increased media pressure on investigators and sometimes slowed prosecution. In this case, it failed to reroute the investigation. Over the next months, the town became tense. Residents stopped asking if Teresa left voluntarily. They asked where Sam put her. Investigators could not answer. They had no body, no confession, and no witness. They only had blood drops, timeline gaps, bruises, weapon access, motive, and a history of anger. The FBI case agent told the district attorney they believed Sam killed Teresa to prevent her from finishing the divorce. They believed Teresa returned to the house after her 11:30 call. They believed Sam confronted her, feared humiliation, and acted with lethal force. They believed he transported her remains in the SUV, then disposed of her in remote terrain he knew from hunting and search training. To take the case to trial, they needed time because a bodiless prosecution required proving that the victim was dead. Prosecutors tracked her bank activity for 10 months. They found nothing. No withdrawals, no purchases, no insurance claims, no messages to family, no holiday communication, no medical visits. Investigators described this data as digital death. It showed the disappearance was not voluntary. By early 2008, nearly 11 months after Teresa vanished, the district attorney authorized Sam Parker's arrest for murder. The arrest of Sam Parker shook the region. News crews filmed the courthouse steps. Officers who once worked beside Sam stood outside and shook their heads. Some wondered how they missed the signs. Others admitted they saw signs but did not want to believe them. The sheriff prepared a short statement confirming the arrest. He did not reveal evidence. He did not answer questions about a possible body. He said the investigation was active and the goal was justice for Teresa. The district attorney prepared for trial. The biggest hurdle was proving homicide without a body. Georgia had ruled on a handful of no-body cases in the past, but convictions were rare. Jurors often struggled to convict without physical remains. Defense attorneys pushed reasonable doubt by suggesting the victim left voluntarily or started a new life. The prosecution needed to block those arguments before they entered the courtroom. Investigators organized Teresa's records into one timeline binder. The binder listed every confirmed action Teresa made within 48 hours of her disappearance. It included her appointment for appliance delivery, her shift schedule, her phone contacts, her bank use, and the sequence of calls from family members. Prosecutors practiced explaining the timeline to jurors in simple language. They needed jurors to follow the case without confusion. The prosecution's theory was firm. Teresa did not abandon her stable life. She did not abandon her mother. She did not abandon her sister. She did not abandon her job. She did not access her bank accounts. She did not use cards. She did not call anyone after her hang-up call at 5 a.m. The prosecution would argue that only one scenario fit. Teresa was dead. Sam entered the courtroom in standard jail clothing. He watched the jury selection process closely. His attorneys asked potential jurors if they believed people vanished by choice. They asked if they believed police were capable of wrongdoing. They challenged anyone who said they trusted prosecutors too much. The defense needed jurors who questioned authority and believed in alternative explanations. Opening statements lasted 1 hour. The district attorney told the jury they would hear about marriage breakdown, control, jealousy, and threats. She said they would hear from officers who saw bruises on Sam, from an ex-wife who survived violent confrontations, and from agents who examined digital silence. She showed photos of Teresa smiling at her dispatch desk. She told the jury no one in that photo knew that Teresa was days away from her death. The defense argued Sam was a political target. They said law enforcement needed a suspect to calm public pressure. They said the blood in the SUV could have come from moving boxes or a minor cut. They said bruises could have come from work. They said Teresa left before and needed space. They said the prosecution built a story, not a case. The prosecution called witnesses who knew Teresa best. Her sister described her daily habits. Her friend Rhonda described the final call and the 5 a.m. hang-up. Dispatch supervisors described Teresa as reliable to a fault. These witnesses did not give opinions about guilt. They provided context about routine. Routine made deviations stand out. The prosecution called FBI and GBI agents. They explained the timeline. They explained the phone records. They explained the banking history. They explained the cleaned SUV. They explained the blood test. They explained why absence of digital activity mattered. They did not dramatize. They presented data. The prosecution called Sam's ex-wife. She described his temper and the confrontation during their marriage. The jury watched her closely. No one interrupted. The defense questioned her credibility and asked why she did not report Sam. She said she feared retaliation from a police officer with training in weapons. Her testimony gave jurors a picture of Sam behind closed doors. The prosecution then called officers who observed the bruising on Sam's arms. They described the appearance. They did not speculate about cause. The prosecution later explained how choke defense produced similar bruising patterns. The defense objected, but the judge allowed it. After the state rested, the defense called character witnesses. A retired Marine said Sam was dedicated during training. A former neighbor said Sam helped fix her fence. A co-worker said Sam once bought lunch for the shift. These witnesses were not questioned about the disappearance. They were questioned about Sam's public side. The defense argued that no one saw a body, no one saw a struggle, no one saw Sam transport remains, and no one found Teresa's remains. They argued the case lacked certainty. They told the jury that the burden of proof belonged to the state. They said the prosecution gave suspicion instead of proof. During closing arguments, the district attorney placed a timeline binder on a table in front of the jury. She pointed to the final confirmed moment. Teresa outside her apartment at 10:45 Wednesday night. Then the call at 11:30. Then the 5 a.m. hang-up. Then digital silence. She told the jury that life requires contact, and Teresa stopped contacting. She told the jury no one in Teresa's life saw or heard from her after she returned to the house she shared with Sam. She told them the only person with motive, opportunity, and history of control was the defendant. The jury deliberated for 4 days. They requested to see the timeline binder. They requested to hear the voicemail recordings. They requested banking records. On the 4th day, the bailiff notified the judge that the jury had reached a verdict. The courtroom filled. Family members held hands. Officers from dispatch sat behind them. The foreperson stood and read the verdict, guilty. The judge sentenced Sam Parker to life in prison. The conviction solved one question and left another open. Where was Teresa? 1 year later, a farmer walked his property in Chattooga County. The land stretched over hills and deer trails. He tripped over something hard near brush. It was a jawbone. Deputies arrived and contacted the coroner. Dental records confirmed the remains belonged to Teresa. The rest of the remains were sparse, and natural conditions had scattered them. Investigators calculated the distance from Sam's father's house to the discovery site. 16 miles. Teresa's family held a small service. Dispatchers attended. Officers attended. Friends attended. They buried the remains in a local cemetery. The minister said Teresa spent her life helping people. He said the city benefited from her voice during emergencies. He said she deserved peace. No one spoke about Sam. No one spoke about the motive. The focus stayed on Teresa. The case became a training example for law enforcement agencies. Investigators learned that digital silence, financial inactivity, and behavioral patterns could establish death without physical remains. Prosecutors learned to build timelines with structure and clarity. Officers learned to pay attention to warning signs in relationships. Dispatchers learned that helping others did not guarantee help for themselves. The story traveled beyond Lafayette. Journalists documented the trial. Analysts discussed the psychology of control during divorce. Advocates pushed for better intervention during domestic conflict. Police departments reviewed internal resources. Some changed their protocols for reporting abuse involving officers or their families. The people closest to Teresa remembered her voice through headsets and radios. They remembered her in the dispatch room with pens tucked behind her ear and coffee steaming beside her keyboard. They remembered how she placed officers on the correct channels during pursuits. They remembered how she said, "I got you," when rookies froze during their first emergencies. They said Teresa took care of everyone and did not want to burden anyone with her own problems. That pattern cost her. The final reflection from one of the agents summarized the case without legal language. He said Teresa did everything right except ask for help.